David Silberman. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Clinical Research Fastrack, and I'm so excited to have a special guest with us today in our video podcast series, Fast Track to Success. This is a podcast where we interview our graduates who are extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. And it's my great pleasure and honor to welcome Chelsea Hughes today. Hi, Chelsea. How are you?
I'm well. I'm happy to be here. Thank you. Currently, I work for Barrow Neurological Institute. I am a clinical research associate, also known as a CRA, working primarily on ALS research.
That's fantastic. Now, I want to take us back in time.
Mhm.
We met back in 2018. That was before COVID. That was a long time ago. But can can you reach back in your memory banks and what were you doing before you were at Clinical Research Fast Track? What was your career like before you met us?
Yeah, before I started Clinical Research Fast Track, I actually just graduated from Indiana State and with my bachelor's of science. And, I went for athletic training, applied medicine. Couldn't really figure out exactly where I would fit in and what I wanted to do. And I found Fast Track and I applied and I came and took your program. So that's kind of where I started my career.
So you're a new college graduate, and you took the Clinical Research Fast Track training. What
Mhm.
inspired you to take this training? Why did you decide on this training, or why clinical research?
Yeah, so I actually have been a part of a research study since I was 16. Um, and I did, when I came across clinical research fast track, I didn't realize that that is what my coordinator was doing when I would go in for my visits, and that's even though it was an observational study, it fell in the same area as clinical trials, and so I thought it was really interesting and thought it was something that I could do, and I wanted to continue it.
Fantastic. So you entered into the program, and do you remember anything about the class? Do you remember what it was like?
We did the class all week. Met a lot of different people from different roles. Whether it was a coordinator, a CRA, or manager. It was really interesting to get to hear, the topics from different perspectives. Really learned a lot during that time.
Great. Okay. So you took the course, you met a
Mhm.
lot of great instructors. What was your first role after the class? Where did you get hired?
I got hired with Eventive Research, which is now Centricity Research. I was a coordinator, one, working on vaccine, hypertension, women's health, phase one, COPD, obesity, in both adults and teens in Ohio. So that was my very first role.
Okay. And so you started out as a CRC, and then what was your career like after that? Did you get promoted?
Yeah, after 2 years, as a coordinator one, I was promoted to a coordinator two, with the same company at the same office. During that time, that's when COVID hit. So it was right in 2020, and right towards the end of 2020 into 2021, a site manager position opened up here in Phoenix, and so I took my shot and I applied for the role, and the company moved me out here to Phoenix, and I became the site manager of a small office running primarily nephrology studies.
Oh, fantastic. So you're the manager running nephrology studies. And then what happened after that? Where'd you go after that?
I decided to go ahead and try out the CRA route. Um, so I applied for Barrow, and I have been here for a year now.
Before we jump into exactly what you're doing right now, are there any medical breakthroughs that you've worked on? Anything you've done that's been really exciting that you want to share? I know sometimes if you're in the middle of a trial, you can't give the specifics,
Yeah.
but anything that's really exciting that you've worked on.
Yeah, I gave this a, this is always something that's kind of on the mind, thinking back on all the trials that you work on and all the medications that have gotten approved, or maybe they didn't get approved. Um, I think the one that stands out to me the most has got to be the semaglutide and the tirzepatide, the GLP-1 medications. So your Ozempic, your Wegovy, those were just incredible to work on, honestly.
So you were working on this breakthrough medications, the GLP-1s,
Mhm.
before they were approved.
But yes, at the time, I believe they were approved for diabetes. And it was while in the middle, I think, of one of the studies that we were working on. They were like, wow, these patients are losing a lot of weight. Um, and they were starting to use them in studies for weight loss specifically. And they even opened it up to the teenagers. So the semaglutide study that I actually, or semaglutide that I actually worked on, was in teenagers. So it wasn't just in adults; they were also, and a lot of those teens did end up losing quite a bit of weight.
That's fantastic. And now the GLP-1s, like you mentioned, Ozempic, Wegovy, are like breakthrough medications,
Yeah.
and there's continued study on them for other indications
Yes.
beyond just weight loss, beyond diabetes, and they have a lot of promise. Very exciting. Um, Tell me, what do you love about working in clinical research? What's kept you there for 7 years?
It's the impact we make. Um, it's for some of the roles, it can be a little, or indications, it can be a little difficult when you don't. There are medications, devices, or studies where you're not necessarily seeing the results. And that can sometimes, get a little difficult. But knowing that all the data you're collecting is going to be, looked at. And I really enjoyed working with the patients as well, and knowing that, there's a lot of people out there that don't have access to the medical care, and they can get that through clinical research. Whether that's lab work or physical exams, they're getting more care than they would through just going to the doctor.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You're providing more care, you're making an impact, and you're potentially finding these breakthrough, amazing medications. That's fantastic. Okay, I want to do a lightning round of questions. What was your favorite moment on the job?
Favorite moment on the job was I was gonna say working on tirzepatide studies. Immediately started seeing results. My favorite moment were seeing the patients so excited to see their results, and some came off their blood pressure medication, changed the way they were seeing food. Some of them were able to play with their grandkids more, and just seeing the excitement and come back to them was probably my favorite.
Beautiful. That's an amazing experience that you shared in, that you participated in. Um, what would you say is the most surprising thing on the job? Something that was shocking to you?
It has to be COVID by far. COVID changed a lot with research. That even coming down to remote monitoring is so much more popular now.
What's something that you want to do in the future? What's an impact you want to make on
Mhm.
this industry?
Um, Honestly, the impact I want to make is not even in the office. It's but what I want to, but it's when I share the work that I do. People ask me what I do for work. I love explaining the field that I am in, and there are a lot of people that are unaware of clinical research and what it all entails, and are unsure why people participate in clinical research. And there's still a lot of negativity that comes with it sometimes. And that's something that I like to be able to explain to them, that, it's not as scary as it sounds.
And the fact that you're here on this podcast is allowing you to share what you do. So I'm glad that we can support you in that mission that you have. That's fantastic. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear what advice you would have for someone who is interested in the Clinical Research Fast Track program, who's coming into the industry. What would you say to them for someone new entering this industry?
Go to the conferences, get involved, and network. Get the experience with, as a coordinator, and, work your way up. Get that, my experience as a coordinator, I feel like has really helped me in my role as a CRA, and experiencing that with the patient and running the protocol. And I don't know, it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, I think that's sage advice. Gain experience, get started and network. Get to
Mhm.
know people. Think about where you've come. You were just out of college, you started working at a site, and then next thing you know, you're working on these incredible breakthrough medications. Um, Now you're working on ALS at Neurology.
Mhm.
It's really exciting. Chelsea, did you have any last words for our audience that you wanted to share?
Enjoy it when you're doing it, you know. Enjoy the patients and providing the best care that you can for them, and really ensure that the data you're collecting is also, accurate. And
Fantastic. Well, listen, Chelsea, it's such a pleasure to see you again.
you as well.